Welcome to another episode of URC Chumps podcast. As you can see, I got Tim with me. It's going to be a great weekend. We got the Boks versus the Barbars in a awesome game for the Qatar Cup. Unfortunately, depending on how the result goes, it is going to be an uncapped game, which means it isn't really going to go against the flow. So if the Boks lose, it isn't going to go against the fact that they've lost. And if they win, it doesn't go into the win column for the international. So, yes. But, Tim, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm really, really good. I'm super excited, as you can see, green and gold. Can't wait to put it on again. And, weekend's going to be fun. I think it's a nice little warm-up. Obviously, the Barbarians are going to be strong, and they'll throw the ball around, and it'll be a good test for the South Africans.
Yeah, I see the team hasn't been quite released, but we'll go through the list of players. I know the likes of Talia is in there, along with Sam Kane and a few other big names like Peter Armani, who just while doing a press conference was told, "Oh, you captain, by the way," by the looks of it.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? But what a guy to have as your captain, you know. And I think he epitomizes what the Barbarians stand for as the team, you know. So I think it's great. I'm excited.
Yeah. As you can see the slide. There we go, and we're back. Let's just see if I can drag that across. There we go. Cool. Yeah, as you can see, URC Chumps podcast with the rugby views by Average Chumps, international build-ups, because it's not quite the internationals, but we're playing international games. But let's talk about the shock of the week, which was the Jaguars Argentina beating the British Irish Lions.
Would you call it a shock? You must understand, Argentina are fifth in the world. It's not like they're the same Argentina from 10 years ago who were 10th, 9th. They're fifth. They last year beat Springboks and New Zealand.
And France.
You know, so like, can you be shocked by this Argentinian side? I think they've got that stereotypical like mindset of the underdogs, and people see them that way, unfortunately. When they're fifth in the world, they've just beaten the Lions, and what a game!
I think it was the case of while reading the reports is they thought the British and Irish Lions, because a lot of the guys had also played together and everything like that they would come through feeling a lot more in strength. The Argentinians have been a bit broken up all over the world. That when they've come together, but also at the same time, the Argentinians didn't play with the full strength side. A couple of the guys are still away for club duty, so they weren't available to play international. So I do believe it was a bit of a shock in that sense, but I was behind Argentina, and I was like, "Come on!" And I'm glad. I'm glad for the result and everything. There was some, how can I say, worrying points watching Argentina, knowing that they're going to come up against South Africa this in a few months.
I agree with that statement.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going to be. It's made me excited and nervous for the next game that we're going to go up against.
Correct. Them. That's exactly right, because there's a couple of take points I take out of this game. You know, I obviously enjoyed watching it. One, I was super excited to see the center combination of the Lions, and I was super disappointed. Now, is it because they were that poor? I know Aki scored a try, but he wasn't great. He wasn't his normal self. And
at the same time, was that not the Argentinian defense?
This was my question. Were they just poor, or was Argentina's defense really good in the centers? And I have to lean towards more the fact that give the credit to where credit's due, and go to the Argentinians and say they knew what was coming at them with the two center pairings, and I think they just shut them down. They shut them down quickly. So I was pretty impressed with the Argentinian defense. They did make silly mistakes. They knocked the ball on. They threw 50-50 passes. you know, the one worrying thing for me for Argentina was they got absolutely thumped up front in the scrums.
Mm. But
And
again, they didn't have their usual front row because
I
those guys were
understand that.
still
I
busy.
understand that.
Yeah.
And you know, also their lineouts
Uh,
were actually really good. They stole a lot of Lions ball, and
but
that's I think due to this, the calls just being learned. That you know those are set
yeah,
moves, so that's where the shortness of being together is going to really show. Also in the scrums, it was very. I mean, I didn't think. I mean, the Lions scrum was superb. So
yeah,
I thought Argentina would take them up front, and it was the other way. I thought the game would be the opposite. I thought Argentina would take them up front, and I thought that the Lions would run Argentina off their feet, and it was the complete opposite.
yeah. I mean, the one thing from a Lions point of view, which they must be actually quite happy about, especially going up against the likes of not Argentina, Australia, from like next month, is the fact they only gave away like 3 penalties the whole game.
Cool, yeah.
And I mean, that puts the pressure on the Australians straight away. If they can keep that discipline up, that they don't give away as many penalties, it's a good thing for them.
But I also don't feel they were put under pressure at breakdowns, and I think that's why the penalty count was so low. That I think that the Argentinians, because their defense was so great, they didn't overcommit. I think they actually weren't. There was no counter rucking. All they did was make the
Yeah,
tackles and fan out. I mean, there was one or two Oaks pushing and going for ball, but once they lost the initial attempt at the steal, I think they just fanned out. And I think if they had more contest at the breakdown, that would then lead to more penalties in the game. So I think against an Australian side or a South African side, they would be forced more at more of a contest at the breakdown, and I think that's where the penalties will be shown. So I think it was
yeah.
more the Argentinian defensive plan that allowed them not to give away so many penalties.
I mean, that's also a very fair point. I mean, also at the same time, Argentina only gave away like 9 penalties in that whole game as well. So, I mean, it
Yeah,
also
I
shows
felt
that it
sorry for
wasn't
the
it.
prop who came on, got a yellow card sort of straight away, and then missed the tackle, which led to the try.
Yeah.
So you know, but he's a unit. I forget his name. The number 17 came on. He's a big guy. That
I have a
guy's
sneaky suspicion that is one of the guys that the Stormers are trying to get for next season.
that guy's got
Um,
zero neck. It's just shoulder head.
yeah, maybe he's been to Osterrand's School of Props.
Don't you love that? Hey,
Yeah,
don't you just love that? We'll get
but
into
I
that
mean,
a little bit.
building on, we've got this game coming on this weekend. We've
Yeah,
got the
but
Springboks hosting the Barbars. It's generally the Barbars hosting a team at Twickenham, but this time it is us hosting the Barbars at Cape Town Stadium. I mean, that's going to be really exciting. But I mean, at the same time, we also have to be very honest. If we look at this, the past results quite haven't gone our way. I mean, 2000 was the last time we actually really beat them. We've played them 8 times, which I'll show that stats a little bit later on. But we
look,
drew against them in 2016. So, yeah.
yeah, but 2016, that was the Alex Garcia era.
Yeah.
And you know what state we were in at that point. So, you know, I feel like you can't take these into, we're not the same side from 2016. We're not even the same setup in the corporate side of South African rugby.
Yeah.
It's completely
But,
changed. So I think we're a lot more solid. So I can't, I, I don't know if I can take a lot out of this because we're not the same. We're definitely not the same.
but Mario gave a nice stat, which works in the South African favor. If we look at this one, that the fact that AI is predicting it's going to be a 34-17 win for the cup. So, yeah.
Look, I mean,
That
I had a look at the South African side. I won't divulge. We'll go to that later.
yeah.
But it's a strong side, so I actually don't think that's too far off. I think it
Yeah.
might be a bit higher of a scoring game, considering the Barbars are going to throw the ball around. and I think we might too. I think we might move it a bit more than we normally would.
Don't forget, it is raining quite heavily here right now, though the drainage will probably help. But also on the
uh,
day, there is light rain coming, so the ball could be greasy. And that's going to be
yeah,
my next point,
okay.
is the Springboks are now sponsored by Rhino Rugby. So it's going to be interesting to see how those Rhino balls handle the weather.
This, I mean, it is okay. So I've got a question. So now I don't know if they will play with a Rhino ball because if they go by the International Rugby Board (IRB), that's it, all international games must be played with the Gilbert.
No, because don't forget, New Zealand used to play or currently also plays with Adidas.
That's right, yeah. I thought it was. I'm so sure it was. I think it was just like a standard international ball
Yeah, I know because but we'll
because
see on Saturday what happens. But yeah, I know South African Rugby is now sponsored by Rhino regarding the ball and padding.
yeah. Look, I mean, Rhino is a good brand. I
Mm,
personally haven't played too much with the Rhino ball, but I've thrown it around a couple of times. I didn't find anything
same.
particularly. And if the Springboks had got on board, I can tell you now that ball is going to be at the top notch standards. They would have checked that ball out. It would have
Yeah,
the yeah. So I mean, I think at that level, I think it's just a logo.
yeah. That's why I said I'm keen to see what happens if it's slightly different and everything. But
Sure,
we'll see
it's
on
going to
Sat.
have
Yeah,
of the dimple patterns and
yeah.
it will be interesting.
So I mean that's interesting. But I mean, yeah, as I said, here's a few of the stats that came up. The fact that we've played them 8 times. Barbarians have won 4, we've won 3, and the draw, which was the last game at Wembley. The overall points you see there, it's actually quite close. I mean, it's only a 4 point difference between the two, 150 to 154.
Yeah.
So it it is going to be quite close. I mean, here we go. We can see Saturday, 28th, DHL Cape Town, 5:10 kickoff. Uh, AJ Jacobs is the referee. The Springboks are going to treat this as an international because we're going to go straight into the internationals after this. The nice highlights is to see the fact that Lot Diache is back. Morne van der Berg is also seems to be back in the mix.
Not
Sasha's
a
back
not
from
a fan.
injury. Yeah. And I mean, as it says there, and fresh talent included by Rassi coming up this
Yeah,
week.
love that.
There's
Love that.
yeah, there's fresh blood in this, and at the same time, quite some senior guys. Like the thing there, the fact that Lurt's back from 2023 after he had a
Yeah.
bit of a heart condition and everything like that. They thought it was the flu, but it wasn't. But yeah,
Yeah,
but
Lewis
along with
back
this,
and gonna be
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, we'll discuss a bit more about that with the team. But as you can see, the Western Force and British and Irish Lions are starting off this weekend at the Optus Stadium in Perth with Ben O'Keefe refereeing it. AI has predicted a 47-24 win for the Lions over the Forts. And I can kind of see it considering the Western Force haven't always been that great, but they've been on the up this year. So it might be a little bit closer than that, I reckon.
I'm actually on the opposite scale. I think the Force have improved, without a doubt. But I think the
Yeah.
Lions, I looked at the Lions side, it's a hell of a good side. And they've got some real, so they've changed their center pairing. They've gone for a lot more sort of, I would say they're going to move the ball a lot. Their whole
Mm,
side is set up to run the ball. They're
yeah.
starting with Finn Russell at fly off, and I think that this side's going to put a lot of points on the board. I'm personally predicting a 52 points to 26. It's
Okay.
close to AI because I think they got it
Yeah.
right. I think the Lions are going to run away with this, judging by their side and just I get the style of pattern with that side. The players that he's picked that
Yeah.
that Andy Farrell's picked for this game is it's a running team, and I think that there's going to be a lot of points on offer there.
Yeah. And I mean, as you can see, then we got our game, and then we also got the Pacific Nations Cup, multiple tier 2 international fixtures, being Namibia versus Italy, apparently at 2 p.m., 3 p.m. local for Windhoek. Other matches including USA, Japan, and Samoa and Fiji. But I mean, there's some awesome rugby happening this weekend, which is
Yeah.
absolutely building up.
I mean, there's a couple of interesting ones there. That USA Japan one, that's an interesting game to watch. I mean, Fiji Samoa is gonna be a clash of titans for the first 60 minutes, and then I think Fiji will start to pull away. But Samoa are gonna come up them, and yeah, USA Japan. I'm interested to see what happens there. I think Japan obviously, well, not obvious, but I think Japan will win that. But I would like to see how they have progressed since their sort of players have sort of new generations come in. So I'd love to see how they're progressing. So that's one I'm going to watch myself.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, we were talking about it a bit. Here is the Springboks squad. Starting with Boks, Malcolm, and Le Bacanier, Asenate. I've been reading some stuff about him. Apparently, for the past 3 years, he's been working with Don Human in the scrums. So I'm actually going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I know I've been a bit anti him and everything like that. And there's also a plan to make him lose 18 kgs. I reckon once he loses those 18 kgs and becomes a little bit more mobile, he's going to be a real force at tight head.
Look, I mean, I watched what Rassi had to say about him, and I was really impressed. You know, Rassi's not gonna pull the wool over your eyes. He's gonna call a spade a spade. And Rassi said, you know, the first time he sort of had a look at him, he just thought that the guy was, you know, he judged him too early. He just said the guy was, you know, a bit lazy, and maybe he was in the beginning. And Rassi sort of wrote him off. And then he had a really good season with the Lions, and then Rassi was forced to have another look at him. And then Rassi started looking, as Rassi does, he started looking at the stats. And he noticed that his stats were up there with the rest of the props. His return play to defensive mode, his tackles, his ruck sets, his meters made. So he's up there with the best. And, you know, Rassi said he's even shocked with the stats, because here's this guy who's that big, who's actually mobile, who's actually his work rate's on par with some of the best in the world. So it changed my mind, because if Rassi must think like that, that's coming from stats. Rassi's not gonna, you know, he's gonna look at the stuff. So that's coming from the guy's shirt.
I absolutely agree.
You can't fudge the stats. So, you know, you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt, and let's see what he's got.
I'm actually quite excited to see what
I'm
the whole
excited.
plan
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited.
The fact that now they're wanting to make him lose 18 kgs as well and everything like that.
Listen, if they keep working with that guy, have you seen the hits he puts in? He's fearless. No. He's actually really nimble. He's super quick.
I did watch a highlight reel, which I had a slight concern, but it's a slight one that can be easily fixed up. And also, it's a big guy against smaller guys sometimes, is his head can also be on the wrong side of a tackle.
I mean, I can promise you the first time he does a training at a Springbok camp, they will pull him aside and sort that out.
Did you see that video of him taking out Tony Brown? There was a video of them doing a training exercise, and Tony Brown was holding the bag, and it was just meant to be like a hit and then back for the next thing. And he literally just came in and smoked Tony Brown, and Tony Brown's like, okay, whoa, this is training. Just getting you used to it.
Listen, I've had the opposite happen to me, right? So do you remember the Bulls number 8? He also played a couple of games for Springbok. He's this Bulls captain for years, Anton Leonard.
Yeah.
So he was the forward coach at Southwestern District Eagles when I was there. And I remember holding the shield, and like we were doing some field work, and there was a little bit of pause, and here came Anton, and he gave me like a little nudge, but like not even, must have been probably about 40% of his power. Dude, I went flying. Like I could not believe how strong that man was, and he's getting on then. But I shout out, man. That's like a truck hit me, and he
I
was
mean,
at 40%.
you should remember Anvil van Wyk as well.
Yeah,
Also played. I mean, he also played for Massey as well. I mean, that guy had a fantastic vision of the game as well. The one training, he was just coming in, and I think he came and he wasn't expecting as much resistance from you, because I always gave a bit of resistance that the guys didn't move. So, kind of just like hold you, that you have to kind of drive your legs. And he came and I held him, and then he started driving, and then he just looked up at me, and I was like, oh, no, there it goes. And he literally dropped, and thanks for coming.
yeah, happens the best.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah. This team carrying on. Jean Klein starting with Lotte Jager.
I'm excited to see that combination.
Yeah, same. I'm actually quite excited. Hopefully, they don't give Lotte Jager within 5 meters, because Lotte Jager has a tendency of losing the ball within 5 meters. Or while he's been sick, he's realized his hands are meant to hold on to the ball. But we'll see about that. Sia, of course, being captain. Vincent Asuka. I'm actually interested to see how he's going to handle up, especially against Kane and Peter. Yeah, going up against Sam and Peter, it's going to be an interesting combination. From the BaBa.
I'm excited. He's a really good, promising player. Very excited.
The return of Jean-Luc Dupré. I mean, I was looking at a picture.
I was
looking at a picture of him when he was 21 next to me, like the same height. He's probably taller than me and like 2 of me now. I mean, I look stocky next to him. But yes, I'm interested to see how this goes, and I'm glad to see him back in the mix. Morne van der Berg. It's good to see him get some exposure. Sasha, I think this is more just to of Morne.
Yeah, I think we've got way better scrum halves in the country.
There could be something that we don't see that Rassie sees. That's the thing.
Yeah, I'm sure. He's obviously got a plan. But for me, like, I think Kobus Reinach, who's on the bench, is better than him.
No doubt about that. But I think that's why Reinach's on the bench and not starting.
Yeah, I give the youngster a chance, but I also don't think he's the best youngster we've got. But
don't forget, we actually have 3. We got Cheslin in the team who could also cover 9 and 10 and 15. We're sorted. Sasha at 10. With Kirtley. The mixture of Kirtley and Chesy on the wings for Sasha, I think, is actually awesome. And then the awesome center combination of Delende and Creel, who is the most capped center combination for South Africa.
Correct. And for me, the best, to touch on your point about Cheslin and Kirtley being such a nice sort of combination for, you said for Sasha. But for me personally, I agree with you, obviously. But for Fussy at fullback, who's still young and still learning, to have someone like Cheslin Colby, help him with positional play or just help him with communication skills, what a sort of guy to have in your back three, and then you got Kirtley, who's absolute danger of a finisher. I mean, he can cut you up. So
just looking at it though, 11, 14, and 15 can all change.
Correct.
Kirtley can play wing. Yeah. Kirtley can play 15. Fussy can play wing, and also the same with Cheslin as well.
Yeah, look, I think our back three at the moment is very dangerous. And Fussy's become super reliable under a high ball.
Yes.
So his defense is becoming really good. So I'm a big fan. I think he's going to do really, really big things in the future.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to someone earlier today, and I said, when Fussy first came onto the scene, I was like, for me, he's a wing. I wouldn't put him at 15. For me, he's positional play at the back. He's high ball. He wasn't that great under. And his defensive reading wasn't that great. Now, there is a completely change of what I thought back then to now. He's definitely improving. This past season with the Sharks, when he wasn't injured, he definitely was saying, I'm your 15. So, yeah.
I think a lot of credit's got to go to Cindy Listick.
Yes. You
know,
cannot
that
take that
guy
away.
is absolutely amazing. And Rusty was saying he's so good with aerial attack work.
Yeah.
And he's really superb.
No, he definitely is. I mean, you cannot argue that. Here we go. And here is what I could find on the BaBa's team. And everything like this. So I will show you now. Here we go. So this is who is currently lined up with the Barbarian squad.
Is this a squad or is this the starting lineup?
It's a squad. I haven't actually been able to find any starting lineup as of yet. If I have, I probably looked over it. Some of it, there were players in there that aren't in there, so I was like, I'm not going to trust this one as of yet.
Okay,
but I mean the props, yeah.
Okay.
Healy from Leinster, Collinger from Racing 92.
He's had a good season, Collinger.
Yeah. Collier from Castros. I mean, the Castros actually didn't do too badly this season as well, along with Alain Emile from Stade Francais. Yeah. Hookers, Camille Chat from Lyon. Lyon had an awesome season this year, so you can't take that away.
Yeah.
Telly from the Blues.
From the Blues, he's awesome.
A South African in Dave Ribbons and Ruben van Heerden. And I have a funny feeling that's going to be the starting too.
That's interesting.
Ruben van Heerden was the top of the tackle count for URC. So he was definitely going to be selected. And then Josh Biro from the Blues, for me, will probably be on the bench. But
yeah, I agree with that.
For me, yeah, Ribbons and Van Heerden. Who's ever going to tie out first is going to be the one that Josh replaces. But we're going to have to see how this goes. Ribbons, though, interesting fact, he hasn't played since the 2003 World Cup. So if he doesn't play for England again next year, he's actually eligible to come back to South Africa. So, and I mean, the work he's been doing at Toulon right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Rassie isn't going to have a talk with him after this game to keep him into the picture. But we'll have to see regarding that. Lewis forward, Satutu from the Blues. Yeah. And we know Peter Omani is definitely going to be starting as captain. Sam Kane, another one that's probably going to start. Frizzle, Boshier, Scrum House, Kiribolo.
Yeah.
I think Kiribolo is going to be the starter, to be honest.
Oh, man, I think it's going to be... Look, Satutu is number 8.
Yeah.
Mali's a 6. Sam Kane's a 7. So I think that would be your starting lineup right there.
Yeah. With
and then Shannon Frizzle coming off the bench is also... He's a hell of a player. I mean, they've got a hell of a loose trio here.
Yeah.
Every one of those Oaks could start, hands down.
No, I agree.
So I hadn't seen the loose trio. That's a test for us. That's a real test.
Now, Josh Jacob from the Chiefs is the fly-off option. I've been trying to find out regarding Umaga from Benetton. I don't know if he's with the Italian squad. That's why he's not in. because Umaga from
Right.
Italy has been having an awesome season. I mean, right now
Yes,
he's probably,
yes. He's a great player and he's young.
yeah. So I wonder if he isn't in the Italian setup. That's why he hasn't been available.
100% he's in the Italian setup, but I'm
Yeah.
sure that 100% he's going to be playing.
Then Umaga Jensen from Hurricanes, who's been having some of the runs that he's been having that I've seen on TV while at work, is being quite awesome.
Yeah, he's had a great season, and then the guy next to him,
Yeah,
he's a fantastic season.
yes. And then we got Joe Marchant as well. I mean, that Marchant, the nice thing about Marchant is not only can he play in the center, but he can also move to the wing.
He's fantastic. And he's flipping gas, bro. That dude has got jet shoes.
And then a guy that everybody is wondering if he's going to come to South Africa.
I mean, I don't think it's going to happen. And I mean, I would love to have it, but I really don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. So Mark Tilia from the Blues. And then Jacob Ratu Matiavuki Nipikins from the Highlanders. I'm so glad I'm not commentating this game. Some of the names in this.
Look, I mean, they've also two really good finishes there. Yeah, and then the Melvin Janet.
Jaminet. Yeah.
Jaminet. Also great at counter-attacking, so that's exciting.
So you see, here's the tour squad list. As it says, squad numbers, not position. I mean, this is just It seems well versed, even though Ribbons has an English name next to him. I mean, flag next to him. He is actually South African as well. So, I mean, it looks like a tough squad. I'm not going to lie. It's not going to be.
It's gonna. I think we'll win this one. I think we'll win it by 2 tries. But I do think for the first 60 minutes, it's going to be close. And then we've had a much longer training camp than they have, and I think that's where it will show. And the mistakes they make, we won't make those mistakes.
No, I absolutely agree with that.
So I mean, my prediction
as Mario,
is 2-try win.
Yeah, as Mario did say in his AI when you were asking AI, which I'll show you the picture now. There we go. It's coming through.
I haven't seen what AI has said about this.
Yeah, AI said it was.
So I said 2 tries. That's 3 points off.
Yeah.
I was at a 14-point difference.
One thing we didn't
like you say, the rain's going to hinder it. I was expecting a much higher score, but like a much higher sort of scoring game.
Another thing we didn't cover was actually the
bench.
Manus van der Merwe, who's had an awesome season with the Scarlets. Jan Hendricks Wessels, who
also been fantastic.
Also, he's very versatile. He isn't just a prop.
He can play prop and hooker. Yeah.
Yeah. Netlin Fisher, who's also very versatile in the sense that he can also play 1 or 3, which I think is awesome because, I mean, he was always behind Brock and Kitsy. So he had to slot in wherever and everything like that, and France and everything like that. So wherever he got put, he always put up his hand. We got Source.
Listen, this Franket Master coming back is, so excited. He is such a good rugby player.
Quacker Smith coming in. So I think that the Quacker Smith replacements will either be for Vincent or Jean-Luc. I think they're just going to see who gets gassed.
I think he'll come on for. I personally think he'll probably come on for our skipper after 60 minutes. But it depends on if we're winning by a margin, he comes on for the skipper. If it's close, he'll come on for one of the youngsters probably.
Yeah, and then we got Corbus and Marnie. Unfortunately, that is not going to be the Stormers fly or midfield combination because Marnie's leaving the
9-10
Stormers.
combo. Yeah,
Yeah,
Marnie's leaving, but just you can see by Russie's backline reserves here that we are going to be looking to open up the game in the second half. We've got Kwaka, we've got Frank Mostert, we've got Kubus Reinhardt, we've got Marnie Lebok. Those are guys who are
Andre.
going to they're gonna speed up the game. And also the front row reserves are all very young, very mobile, very So I do think we're gonna run off like when our bomb squad comes on. I think we're gonna run them with their feet.
And a little bit of jokes being flying around between the Barbars and the Springboks. Going, does this mean we have to push in scrum now? No gentleman's agreement. Tony Brown is under no illusion. Saturday game against the Barbars. For us, they can treat it as the test match. Apparently, Erasmus asking, we'll ask Don and get back to you. There was another message. I don't think I have it. Let's just double check. Where they were asking what kind of wine. Yeah, there we go. What wine does a handsome scrum coach like? So there's been some fun going between the social media teams.
Yeah, I mean, I did have a look at the two front rows, and I must tell you, I don't see the Barbarians front row matching up to ours. I think we're gonna get a lot of. I just think that's gonna be tough for them. I think they're gonna struggle in the set piece very much against us.
No, I absolutely agree. But I just love those jokes flying around. Them realizing,
but
isn't
that in the faith of the Barbars rugby? That's why we fell in love with this game. That's why people are spending an hour listening to us talk about it. This game's fantastic. You got to love it.
No, I totally love it. I'm waiting to see what kind of tricks they play because there's always a trick that the Barbars play.
They set penalties. Oh my goodness! Year after year, they come up with new random things. Where O's are running. There's a wall of attackers standing in front of the ball. They've 50 people running in different directions, like last time.
Yeah,
like no one knows where the ball is. Like it's gonna be.
And then the ball's under a guy's shirt, and he's running normally, and then he pulls it out, and they're like,
it's just fantastic. And I'm super sad I'm not in Cape Town to go and watch the game, but can't wait to watch it though. I'm gonna sit here, put on my telly, and I'm gonna scream Booker, green and gold.
No, I'm also I might be home alone, so there'll be a lot of screaming here with a few brewskis. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I know there was a set piece that was done by a school. I don't know if you've seen it on social media.
The two lineouts.
The lineouts and the one team just lies down.
Yes.
And someone's like, has someone sent this to Rusty? So it'll be interesting to see if they pull a move like that as well.
I mean, yeah. It's an awesome weekend of rugby. I'm super excited. It's a great way to kick off internationals. I thought the Argentina British Lions game to kick off an international season was fantastic. Obviously, you can see there's a bit of rustiness from both sides, but what a game of rugby. Came down to the wire. Was exciting. Argentina were fantastic. I thought the Lions, for the short time they were together, were really good. Excited. Can't wait.
Though talking about that, I have seen there's been a lot more, how can I say, media push about the fact that a lot of the Lions selected this year are actually not from the north. That a lot of them come from the south.
Look, I mean, it's difficult to shame that because the game's a fully professional thing right now, And in the previous years of Lions rugby, it hasn't really been that on that level of professionalism. And with that, you'll get people who are going to move to other countries solely to play rugby. And, with the eligibility laws, they've changed now, thank goodness, because you could only, before you stayed in the country for 3 years and you could play for them. Now it's a bit longer. which I think is better. So we don't have so many country hoppers. But I mean, it's going to happen. If you know, if
Yeah.
you look at the French football side, how many of those guys? I mean, most of them are now born in France, but how many of them are actually the roots are from France? Zero.
You mean like when Trevor Noah said "Welcome to Africa"? Well done to Africa for winning the World Cup when France won it.
I mean, like it was like the English cricket team, and they were for 40% South African. It's like the Scottish rugby team. It is a part of the professional game these days. It's just the way you can't stop it, and I don't think it's unfair because let's say I'm 20 years old and South Africa say you've got zero future in South African rugby. You go overseas, you get seen by a club there. They say there's a future here for you, and
But
5 years go by, and then you become eligible. Why not play for another country if your country doesn't want you?
I think people are also maybe a little bit upset with the franchises because I know there was a story here in South Africa a few years ago. There was a guy that was just finishing off matric. He was playing in the Craven Week, and literally as Craven Week ended, he was already signed with Lyon, and Lyon had given him a university contract to go study winemaking at some of the best wine institutes in France, but to go play rugby as well.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I
you
think
have
some of
still
the
not
people are a
take
bit
that.
upset. Yeah, no, but I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
that's where some of the people get
at the end of
upset.
the day, it's again, you can't. It is a professional thing these days. It's you can't get
But
upset with it's a professional outfit. It's your job.
I think it's the North getting more upset than the South because the South realizes we have so much and we cannot offer that contract to someone like that. And the best thing to do is to say, like, go spread your wings and hopefully you come back in time or you go and enjoy your life. We're
Look, I
not going
can
to hold you
promise you,
back.
before he's going to play for France, he's going to play in the top 14. And if he's
Yeah,
playing in the top 14, Russ is going to have his eye on him. So
yeah.
if there is a chance of him playing for the Springboks within the time limit that he becomes available for France, Russie will say, "Come back."
But I
100%.
think
If he's good enough,
yeah.
he will be seen at top 14 level by Russie. 100%. Anyone who's
But I
playing at
think
that level will be on
yeah.
Russie's radar, and they will have a look at them.
I think that's also where agents need to be involved.
Agents are
If
heavily
you
involved.
no,
Heavily,
but I
heavily.
mean that they're heavily involved in the franchise, but they're not heavily involved in the international. If you were my client and you were playing overseas, I would be making sure that I have highlight reels every week or so going to the Springboks to say like, hey, listen, Van's over there busy playing. Here's his what you call it, highlight reels. And then on top of that, sending it to bigger clubs as well. But at the same time, knowing the fact you want to put on the green and gold, it's going to the right people. If I was an agent, I'll go sit down with Sorry and say, listen here, here's my guy. My guy is South African. He wants to wear the green and gold. However, franchises cannot offer him the contract that he's got now. But I am willing to do work to help you guys keep him on your radar. And because then you're getting the videos, you're like, okay, cool, quick, snip, 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 boom, there we go. Thank you very much. Springboks, here's this guy. Oh, he was playing for Lyon against Toulon, and he made 20 tackles, 95% dominating tackles. 5 were just held up and everything like that. No missed tackles. Okay, cool. You know what? There's a good stat to watch. Keep an eye on the player like that. But I think, unfortunately, because they're young and they get bought out before they get properly viewed, I think sometimes they fall through the cracks of, oh, he's actually South African. Oh, he's... And then only when you like check him line up, you're like, oh, gosh, that's actually a South African. But then at the same
Oh, I
time,
mean, I
you,
think
you, you
you take
see,
someone like Dumont van der Merwe. He's he's the highest try scoring Scot of all time, and of course he got overlooked.
yeah.
But he was playing S under 20s, so like, was he overlooked, or did they take a thing and say and made the wrong call and say he wasn't good enough?
But at the time, he probably wasn't good enough for what we had That's also the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, would he have made? Yeah, I mean, is he better than Ches and Colby? No. Is he a great rugby player? Yes. Would he
Yeah.
have been in the South African setup? I think so. Would he have been as prolific in international rugby? No. So
Yeah.
for him, I think it was the best move because he's got a lot more game time than he would have had in South Africa. But
Yes.
hasn't he done fantastically?
Yeah.
He's a
But
South
then
African
we've been lucky.
who's
We've been lucky with the likes of Ethan Hooker, who's a very similar
I mean, the
presence
man from
on the
Namib is
field.
6'4". I don't know
Yeah.
how tall Ethan Hooker is, but the man from
I
Namib
don't
is
think
six foot
he's
four.
yeah, I
He's a
don't think
he's
as
a
big. Yeah.
massive man. Like
Yeah.
that's a part of his strength is he's so big and so agile and so quite fast.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, good on him. There's a South African who's taken his chances and he's now become the highest try scorer in Scottish history. So hats off to him. It's a loss for South African rugby that he didn't stick around, but I'm also happy for him as a player.
No, I agree. But I mean, also you need to look at the likes of Tyrone Holmes, who literally grew up around the corner
Fisher
and
boy.
everything like that. And yeah, he got the opportunity to play for the Stormers, and then due to heritage, because he had a British
Yeah,
passport,
he played for
was
Scotland.
able, he was able to play for Scotland.
Yeah, I think he lined up against South Africa at Cape Town.
Yep. And I still remember there was a few people going, ooh, in Fishhook. Because, of course, being a Fishhook boy, busy playing. But, I mean, at the same time, my wife went to school with a guy, Conrad Murray, who played for Namibia in the
I know
2011
Conrad.
World Cup.
He's the wing.
Yeah. And I still remember reading an article saying it's kind of hard to play against South Africa, knowing that you looked up to a whole bunch of these players to base your career or your style off of. And meanwhile, you're running up against the likes of a Brian Abban and Gio Aplon at that stage.
Yeah, I mean, I know Conrad's a unit himself. So, like,
Yeah.
I played with him at Villages, and he's a great striker of a rugby ball. He does the goal kicking. He used to do goal kicking for Villages. But he's a good guy, and I must tell you, he's a unit, man. So physically, he was there. He's a good player.
Unfortunately, he seems to go on off the bit of the radar. I think he's living in France right now. If I listen to a couple of his ex mates from here, he's living in France at the moment, and yeah. But I mean, yeah, she's. I think I do think some players do get overlooked and everything like that, and just because of the area that they live in, and they don't play in the right schools. But yeah, it's just the way that the cookie crumbles, unfortunately.
Varsity Cup being the way it is these days, I think that's your route to be seen by the unions, and then once you're in a union, then I think it's a stepping stone to the Springboks. So I think that has become such a big sort of scouting point for unions has been Varsity Club. I think it's been amazing for the game. And
Yeah.
There was an initiative started quite some time ago, and I must tell you, it's been fantastic for South African rugby. It really has given the guys who have been overlooked a chance to be seen.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we can keep talking about this kind of things, and
of course,
I think we need to keep
again,
it to
rugby. You can
build
talk
up.
all
Yeah.
night. It's find two passionate guys about rugby, you'll find a good time. So we could do this all night, but I hear you.
Unfortunately, it wasn't through Jacques with his ISDN line in Natal.
Shout out, my man. Shout out.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have you and everything like that. Hopefully, he's available next week. And I know Mario is busy with the assignments right now, along with Dara. So it would be nice to have us all back before the internationals games with Italy 100%. And everything. Yeah, but guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. Click on that bell icon to get notified every time there's a update, which is at least once a week. Tim, huge thanks to you. Awesome talking to you again. It's good to hear that the thunder seems to have subsided there by you. Meanwhile, here it seems like the temperature is dropping by the minute because it's quite cold. I mean, my dog's busy shivering right now and like trying to curl up against me to get heat and everything like that. But guys, remember, we'll be back next week with more follow-up from the Barbarians games and a bit of results from the Lions and the build-up to the Italian series and Georgia and everything like that. So, yeah, guys, check you, fellow champions. Be safe. Cheers, Tim.
Bye, guys.